Hey everybody, today we're beginning our look at open economies by focusing first on the foreign exchange market with an eye towards being able to explain what an exchange rate is, how to calculate the cost of goods expressed in different currencies, and be able to identify when currencies either appreciate or depreciate in value, as well as being able to explain what those concepts mean, and finally being able to graph the foreign exchange market. So some of you may have grown up watching friends have birthday parties at a place like Chuck E. Cheese's, where they have all these different video games and things for you to play with, the ball pit and all that kind of stuff. And what you may have found is, when you were little, that if you wanted to play those games, you needed tokens from Chuck E. Cheese. Your dollars didn't buy you access to the games. You had to convert American currency into Chuck E. Cheese currency in order to play. And that's basically what foreign exchange markets are about. That your American dollars don't buy things in Europe. You need euros to buy things in Europe. And your American dollars don't buy things in Japan. You need Japanese yen to buy things in Japan. And so how do you get euros or yen? You have to go to the exchange market and give somebody who has euros your dollars so they can give you their euros, and you have to agree on a price. And so that's what we call the exchange rate. So if your dollar buys initially 4 tokens, and now suddenly it can afford to buy 10 tokens, so you get 10 tokens for $1, we would say that your dollar has appreciated in value. Its purchasing power has increased relative to what it was before, because you can buy more of the other type of currency. Conversely, if your dollar used to buy 10 Chuck E. Cheese tokens and now only purchases 4, then your dollar has depreciated in value. It doesn't have the same purchasing power it did before because it cannot get as many tokens for a single dollar as you did in the past. So we can look at exchanges to see whether or not our dollar is appreciating or depreciating by looking at the price of goods and seeing if the price of a foreign product is either rising or falling. So I guess first thing is we're looking at the exchange rates. We could look at a product like a shirt for the World Series of Baseball, the World Baseball Classic, and let's say you want to support Mexico, so you're going to buy a shirt in Mexico to support the Mexican baseball team, and it's going to sell for 187.5 pesos. Well, you have American dollars, you don't have pesos, so you've got to go and exchange that amount of American dollars into pesos, and you need to know how many dollars it's going to take. So you would go to the foreign exchange market and look up that current exchange rate on that day. And there's lots of different calculators out there. What you would need to do is take the price of the good in the foreign currency, 187.5 pesos, and divide it by whatever the currency exchange rate is. So how many pesos per dollar do you receive on the foreign exchange market? In this case, let's say it's 12.99 pesos per dollar. So how many dollars will you need? Well, you would take the 187.5 pesos divided by the exchange rate of 12.99 pesos per dollar. And you'll find that it will cost you $14.43 in American currency. If that exchange rate changes, let's say that it changes to 12.1 pesos per dollar, then we'd see that the price of that shirt in American dollars would jump to $15.50. And so when we see that the product is worth or costs more in American currency than it did before, then we can say with confidence that the United States dollar has depreciated in value relative to the Mexican peso. The US dollar doesn't buy as many Mexican goods as it used to. It's going to take more dollars to buy the same shirt, because the price hasn't changed in Mexican pesos. It's just changed in terms of American dollars, because that American dollar is weaker. And conversely, we could say that the Mexican peso has appreciated in value relative to the United States dollar. When it comes to graphing the foreign exchange market, we are going to draw just a standard supply and demand graph. The horizontal axis will tell us the quantity of, in this case, US dollars. So what is the currency that's being bought and sold? And the price on the vertical axis will be expressed as a ratio of whatever the currency is that we want to exchange it for per, in this case, dollars. So if we're interested in euros, we would say, if I want to convert US dollars to euros, then the price of a US dollar in the foreign exchange market is expressed as how many euros per dollar I will receive. And the demand curve is telling us there's a certain amount of US dollars that people in Europe are interested in purchasing because they want to buy things in the United States. And if the exchange rate is very low, meaning that they have to give up fewer euros to get a dollar, then they'd be interested in giving up the euros for American dollars and then buying American goods. And keep in mind that there's an opportunity cost here to the European of giving up their euro, because when they give an American their euro, they can no longer buy things in Europe. So it means that they have to want American goods, and the fewer euros they have to give up for American dollars, the more interested they are in American products. Similarly, there's a certain amount of supply that's being made available for exchange, right? Americans are willing to give Europeans their dollar and go buy European goods, but they would like a higher price. They would like to get more euros per dollar, and so you see the upward slope in the supply curve. So there's always this sort of, people are interested in making a trade, but it's got to be the right price. So where supply and demand intersect will determine the exchange rate, how many euros it will take to get an American dollar. When there are changes in the market, the exchange rate will either go up or go down. And when the price of currency rises or falls, it will dictate whether the currency has appreciated or depreciated in value. So let's look at an example. Let's pretend that there is an increase in the wealth of workers in Mexico, and that makes them interested in wanting to purchase more goods from the United States. So in order to buy goods from the United States, people in Mexico will have to offer more pesos than before into the foreign exchange market. They need more dollars, which means they have to supply more of their pesos in order to get additional US dollars. And when they do that, there'll be more pesos being traded in the market than before. And as a result, the price, the number of dollars per peso you receive, will fall. And so we can say that because the peso's exchange rate relative to the United States has shrunk, that the peso has depreciated in value relative to the United States dollar. At the same time that Mexicans are making their pesos available for exchange, increasing the supply of pesos to be exchanged in the market, there is now greater demand for the United States dollar. Mexicans want more dollars than before because they want to buy more goods from America. So we would see a subsequent right shift in the demand for US dollars. And when that happens, we see then that the quantity of US dollars being exchanged increases, which makes sense because there are now more Mexican consumers trying to get their hands on American dollars. And we also will see then the price, the exchange rate, will rise. And as a result, we will say that the US dollar is appreciating in value relative to the peso. So it is always true when comparing two currencies that when one appreciates, the other must depreciate in value. It's always just two sides of the same coin. There are lots of questions like this on the AP exam, so it's important that you try and get your head around this shifting of the supply of one currency when people want to make more trades, and the shift of the demand curve in the other currency in order to make sure you're successful in these AP questions. So we'll work on these in class some more. We've got problem sets for you, and we will see each other soon.